Can you say that again, Xantro?
Can you see the presentation now?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the screen?
Yep, yeah, we see the slides, yeah, with the picture. All right, so then let's start the meeting today. So we have a very interesting company called Middelo. I found it to be interesting for the reason that it's sort of a company that is organized around an app. And so anybody can download that app. Originally, I thought it was only for like architects, but turns out that just about anyone can use it. For example, if you want to, I don't know, paint your house, you may need to estimate the area so you know how much paint you need to buy. Even if you're not a professional painter, you might be doing it yourself, so why not? So it's a very, very interesting concept, a great app, but also I like that it's sort of, it's not a startup, it's been around for a while, but it's also the type of idea, type of the company that many of our students will be probably starting sometime soon. So I always like these kind of smaller companies that are more relevant to our students because this is where the students learn. When we look at the huge companies, yeah, at some point, some of our students will be CEOs of big multinational corporations. But more likely than not, in the next 3-5 years, most of them will manage companies like Middelo. And so here, this is your opportunity to learn from people who are going through this process now, so that you can learn from their approach. You can learn maybe from their mistakes. I mean, maybe they, wish they did something differently, so that when you do it even better. And so Middelo is participating in X-Culture for the first time. I have some information about the company. We met before, but I still don't know everything. And so this is the first webinar we do with the company. So that's your opportunity to ask some questions. And so I see the presenters here have some slides that they want to share with us. So I guess I'll turn the microphone to you. And I guess with a quick introduction of the speakers, please go ahead with your slides.
Okay.
Thank you, Bas.
So thank you very much, Bas, and thank you for joining us in today's meeting. And thank you for your interest in our company. So Middelo is, just in one phrase, it's an app that measures.
So one important question. So you pronounce it not Middelo, you pronounce it Middelo.
Yeah, I don't want to
Okay, I didn't know. All right, okay.
No,
yeah.
no, it's okay. So
okay.
Middelo is actually an app that measures buildings, houses, that means vertical surfaces like facades and sidings. Why do you call it Middelo? It's a Spanish word, which means measure it. In Spanish, it's just one word. It's a verb, actually. And we just played with a little bit with the letters and we added another D. So that's why we say Middelo. Okay. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to be talking about our company, who we are, and a little bit about our history, our product, so it's our app. We're going to talk about the market, marketing strategy, the challenge, and then we're going to open the sessions for Q&A. We hope to have about 20 minutes for questions. So this is our company. So my husband, Lisandro Rodriguez.
Hi.
He's really the brain behind the company. He was the one who had the idea. He was the one who created the company. Actually, I got on board after. So even though I'm gonna be doing all the talking today, he's really the brain behind the company. So he's responsible for development. He does all the codes, all the algorithms, all the software, and he's also responsible for marketing. And I'm Natalia Mendez. I'm responsible for design, for UX, that stands for user experience, which is really improving the interface between the app and the user, that it has to be not only appealing, but it has to have sense and it has to be intuitive. Yeah. And publicity and marketing as well. So let's talk a little bit about our journey with Middelo. So we used to work at a multinational company that I think you've already heard of it. It's Hewlett-Packard, HP. Actually, that's where we met. It's a technology company and we worked there for many years. And we decided to take a sabbatical year. So we quit our jobs and we traveled around the world for 1 year, which was fabulous. And after we came back, we decided to start a company. We didn't want to get employed again, so we wanted to start a company. We practice rock climbing, which is one of our passions in life, and we wanted to do something that we loved, so we decided to create an app for rock climbers. But when we were developing this idea, we noticed that there was not, well, at that time, there was not a way to measure the height of the mountain. So this is where we really shifted the idea from a rock climbing app to what's Middelo today, as an app that measures buildings. So we started with this idea, we developed some algorithms, and in January 2016, we participated in a government discovery program, which is AppSco. If some of you live in Colombia, you've probably heard of this program, which is they really help startups, technology startups, to get the idea, they give you advice in marketing and many other subjects, and to develop like your company. Because at that time, really, Middelo was just algorithms. It was not really a product. So I want to make a parenthesis here. I forgot to mention that we're from Colombia. We're from South America. Actually, our Spanish is our language, so we're not English native speakers. So we just want to apologize in advance if you hear any mistakes. We'll do our best to make ourselves very clear. So we participated in this government program, and this is really where Middelo was born. So later that year in March, we launched the first version of Middelo. And at that time, it was very simple. It only measured dimensions. So dimensions is really a linear segment. So if you have a window, you can measure the height or the width. That was it. It was in Spanish. It was free. It was local. And there's something important that I want to mention here is that on that time, you would have to place your phone on the wall. Against the wall, so the device could know the inclination or the angle that the building had. And this is something very important because later in 2019, we did a major change, and this is probably one of our biggest difficulties that we're going to mention later on. So in November 2016, we launched the third version, and there was a big change here is that instead of being it local and free, we put the app in the Apple Store. And we started defining a pricing strategy there, and we started charging 4 square meters. So you could download the app for free. You could have a couple of meters for free, but if you want to measure, let's say, a building that is 100 meters, you would have to purchase those meters. Then in May 2017, we launched the fourth version of Middelo. We did a major facelift that it's pretty much what you see today. In April 2018, we launched the 5th version, and we changed our pricing strategy. So instead of purchasing square meters, you would have to purchase measure or library capacity. That is that if you have your project, you can only measure 2 meters. So you could purchase or more meters to measure something bigger, or you can purchase library capacity, which is the ability to save your project in the library. Because today we have, you can save a couple of projects for free, but not many. So you can purchase either one or the other one, okay? So in August that same year, we launched another version of Middelo, and we added areas. So now you can only measure, you can not only measure dimensions, but you can measure areas. Then later that year, we launched another version and we added perimeters. So now you can measure dimensions, areas, and also the perimeter of that area. In July next year, we launched another version and we did a major change regarding the model of the app. So remember I told you that the first version, you would have to place your phone on the wall. With this version, you would not need to purchase the phone, to put the phone on the wall anymore, but you would need to define something that we call perspective. Is that you would have to outline a rectangle on your app to tell the app what is the angle and the inclination that you are using. In September next year, we launch another version. That is the version that you can see on the store today. It's version 9. We added summaries, so you can see all the summary of your project. And we also added another pricing strategy, which is tokens. We're going to be talking a little bit about that in pricing. Oh, sorry, I forgot that in November 2018, we added subscriptions, and in 2019, we added tokens. We're working today in a new version. It's version 10. And we believe it's gonna be a breaking point in our company because it has a lot of improvements, not only facelift, but we have a lot of new functionalities, like you can measure cracks. You can remove openings. Openings is where architects called, for example, it's a window that is included in a major area. So for example, if you measure the biggest area and you measure the window, you can remove the window from the biggest area. Those are openings. You can also generate and download reports in PDF. And well, we did a major UX and design improvement. We wanted to have this version for September so that it will be the same dates of the X-Culture program, but we have some difficulties and some delays, and it's gonna be for next month. But don't worry, we have a contingency plan that we can send you, whoever is on board with our company, we can send you a link that you can download the demo. So you're not gonna be downloaded from the Apple Store, but we can send you
a beta version, yes.
Yeah, a beta version of the version 10.
As you can see here, we have a very long journey for the technical part. So now we are ready to explode Middelo in a commercial or marketing part. So this is why we are here.
Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, which is our product. So how does Middelo work? I'm gonna tell you the first main steps of how to get set up the app, and then we're gonna show you a video so you can see this more clear. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to go to the site, okay? So you go to the building that you wanna measure. Then you would have to take a reference measure. For example, let's say you measure a window and you say, okay, that window measures 2 meters, 230. Then you would have to enter that measurement that you just taken into the app. You would take the photo of the whole surface that you wanna measure. You would place the line that would be shown in the app over the reference that you just measured, so it's over the window. And you would have to set up the perspective. The perspective, again, it's the way to tell the app the inclination and the angle that you're using, because you don't need to be standing straight and still in front of the surface. You can take the picture in any angle, but you have to tell the app. So let's go ahead and see the video that can explain this better, and I'll be talking through the video.
The app doesn't need to know the exact distance from you to the building. So as long as you give the angle and one reference dimension, it can do all the math based on those two. That's
Exactly.
smart. It's very smart. I was kind of curious, like it doesn't have like the phone doesn't have a laser to measure the exact distance, but yeah, okay. So math can help here, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna put play. So here you would have to identify the reference, and in the example, it's a window, and the window measures 230 centimeters or 2 meter 30 centimeters. You would type it inside the app, take the photo. The app will show you that fuchsia line, and you will have to place that line over the reference that you just measured. It's very intuitive. You just have to drag and drop. And then you have to set up the perspective. The perspective is to place that fuchsia rectangle over the surface that you're gonna measure. It doesn't have to cover all the surface, but it's advisable to take the biggest rectangle that you can see on the surface. You just drag and drop the corners and you're all set. Then the app will show you the perspective that you're using. So you can see that it's diagonal because you're not standing straight to the surface. And then you can start measuring dimensions, area, cracks, and all things that we're going to talk about later.
This is actually one of our tutorials that you can learn because, well, we're very worried about the people to understand how to use it.
Yeah, so inside the app, we have
So you can be facing the building at an angle. You don't have to be straight perpendicular to it.
Any angle. You just have to set up the perspective so the app can know, but it can be in any angle.
Does it have to be a rectangular building? Like what if it's like a triangular surface? Would that work still?
Yeah, that works still. What's not working today, it's circular surfaces.
Well, those are rare. Those are very unusual.
But you can have non-rectangular areas, which is what we're gonna see in futures. Inside the app, we have 13 animated tutorials of the main functionalities. And that was an abstract of the tutorials because yes, as Lisandro told you, we're very worried about how that people learn how to use it. And because we believe that, for example, perspective is something that's not very familiar with people with. So we just want to be very cautious on the training. So let's go ahead and see another video on how to measure non-rectangular areas, which is your question, Bas. It's pretty similar on how you measure dimensions, how you measure regular or rectangular areas. We're gonna not see them all, we don't have the time. But with this video, you can really get the gist of how you can measure because it's very similar. So I'm gonna walk you through again the video. So you will have to press bottom, my measure, and you press non-rectangular area in this case. For non-rectangular areas, you would have to place each segment of the rectangle. So you place the first segment, just like that. You just drag and drop. You can use the zoom tool for better accuracy. And then you would have to draw each of the other segments. Just drag with your finger, draw the line with your finger and drop. And do that same procedure with every side. And for the last segment, you would only need to press a button that's down there that says close area. And the app will draw the last segment for you. So as you can see, that was like a different figure. It can be rectangle, it can be anything, not circles. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about a little bit about our features. So our main features. So with Middelo, you can measure, you can take accurate measures and you can measure dimensions, which are linear segments, or rectangular areas or non-rectangular areas, as we saw on the video and as you can see there in the image. You can also measure cracks or imperfection, that this is something new that's coming in this version. The crack can be a single crack or it can have multiple branches. And you can measure in any direction. So you can measure horizontal, vertical dimensions, or diagonal. Why is this important? It's because lasers, which are the most, we believe they are the most common method that architects use today. With a laser, you would have to point out to the building and the beam will reflect on the surface and it will give you the measure. So if you want to measure, let's say the height of the window, yes, you can do it with a laser. But if you want to measure the width, you cannot do it with a laser because with a laser, you would need to have another surface that reflects the beam. With Middelo, you don't need that. With Middelo, you can measure in any direction. This is why this is something very important. With Middelo, you can also measure any siding. I mean, you can measure a big or a small building, a house, a church, and you can measure not just the entire facade or siding, but you can measure all the elements that are included or the items, which are, for example, doors or windows, and that's what we mentioned as is called openings. You can measure on site. So when you go to the site and you take the first photo, you can do the measurements there if you want, or you can just save your project in the library and measure in the comfort of your office or of your home. You can measure, you can save the project and edit the measurements later, or you can duplicate your project to address it to different clients or different people. For example, if you want to send one project to your client and then duplicate it and send the other one to your colleague and then another one to your boss, so you can do that and address to different audience. You can also measure in the English or metric system. You can change the units on an ongoing project, or you can even change them on a project that has already been saved. So you can change them anytime. So another feature this is very important, is that you can differentiate materials. So by using different colors. What is that? For example, you're measuring the entire facade and you're measuring windows and you're measuring bricks. So you would want to consolidate all windows and you would want to consolidate all bricks. And that will give you the facility to calculate easier materials and cost. So all of our summaries and our reports are consolidating our materials by colors, as you can see in the image. There we have like 3 examples. And the app will calculate the totals for you. So if you measure 3 windows, the app will tell you, okay, you have 3 windows, that the total area of the 3 windows is something. So if you need to calculate the silicone to, I don't know, to place over the window, then you would know the total perimeters of all those windows. You can also generate multiple photos. You can generate photos of the whole project, or a material, or a couple materials, or a item, whatever combination you need. And you can include notes, like the image in the bottom has some notes that you can include the title, the areas, and the description. And you can eliminate measures from your photos. This is something important that a person in the field, an architect in the field, told us, and is that they spend like 25% of their time quoting and measuring. And when they go to the site, they measure, they take like half day measuring, and then they send the quote to their client with the measures and the prices. They don't win the deal, and the client, sometimes what they do is that they send that quote to their competition, and they say, okay, I have these measures, please quote for me, and obviously they're going to quote less. So this was something that was suggested by them to have the ability of not including the measures. Maybe just the photo, maybe they could include the prices, but not the measures, because they will give away their work to their competition very easy, and the competition will save like a lot of time. And the last thing is reports, which is new in this version as well. You can generate PDF reports. You can generate the whole project, or a material, again, a couple materials, or an item. In the report, you can include photos if you want, or if you want, you can remove them. And it's a small image, but there you can see the items and all the measurements. You have the areas, you have the perimeters, and you have the dimensions. Okay. You can export the reports and again address it to different audiences. So let's talk about the market. Even though what you just mentioned, Vaz, is absolutely correct, anyone can use Middelo. Middelo can measure many things, but we've decided to target our app to a special market, which is construction. Why? Because we found that there are a lot of apps that measure small things, measure things in the house. Actually, Apple has one app, but this is really a huge market, and it's an unattended market. So really, this is going to be our focus, construction. And we've divided this market or segment into 4 main jobs. The first one is renovation. So when you have to remodel an existing edification or an existing building. The second one is maintenance. So every edification or building needs to have preventive or corrective maintenance once every couple of years. So that could be waterproofing, or window cleaning, or exterior painting. This type of job can be done by professionals, which is like our target, my main target, or by people in their homes. So if you own your house and you want to paint it, you can have Middelo, you can measure, and you can just do it by yourself. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to study architecture to use Middelo. Also,
if I can comment on that. So my house was repainted last year, and it's not a huge house, but I have a very different, like it's a very strange structure. I have a lot of windows. And so even though I hired someone and they did all the measurements, I was still paying for the paint. And in the end, I was left with like a huge bucket of paint. It's not a big deal. So it's like extra $100 that I probably spent on paint that I didn't need. But so I guess they just measured the kind of the overall perimeter and then kind of subtracted some windows, but they thought, better be safe than sorry. So they got, I think it was like 3 big buckets, like gallon. And in the end, it was their own measurement. So in the end, I ended up with like 5 gallons of paint left that I didn't need. And it's like $25 per gallon. So I wish they had the app that you have, so it would have saved me some money.
And you can remove the openings and you can know exactly what paint you need.
The silicone to seal the windows, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, because that is something really important. And that is something why Middelo is so important for professionals. It's because sometimes you can get cut of a deal if you over measure. if you measure something that bigger than what it really is, because you're going to be more expensive than probably your competition. In your case, it wasn't that big a deal because it was for your house. But sometimes you can lose money if you measure under measure. So if you have a measurement that is lower than the real one, so you can be quoting for a smaller price, and you're going to have extra costs, and you're going to lose money in the deal. So this is something very important that you just mentioned.
And again, maybe students don't know that. So when you, for example, order some materials like maybe tile, like ceramic tile, usually if you have leftovers, in most cases, you can bring it back to the seller, to the store. But if it's paint and it's been custom mixed specifically for your color, nobody needs your color paint. Like, it's not like it's something standard. You know, once it's mixed, it's basically non-returnable. And so with paint, you have to be careful, because if you don't have enough, it's a problem, because you have to break your workflow. You have to go and order more. And then, you know, by the time it's ready, it may be the next day. Order too much, again, you will not be able to return whatever you have left. So you basically paid for something you don't need anymore. And that paint will be bad anyway soon. So it's not like you can save it for years and years for the next repainting. Not to mention that the paint fades, so that the shade will not match in a year or so anyway. So yeah, it's a very, very important app.
Yeah. So the third job that we've identified is decoration. And the best example is, for example, people who has to install Christmas lights in their exteriors. Actually, last year we had a couple of clients who did that. They started their work like in September or October. And yeah, that's a big market as well. And the last is control. So control audits are very important, because they give you the progress of your project, and it defines if you are behind schedule, for example. So the editor will have to go to the site and review how much have you done. So they can use our app to take the measurements and say, okay, you've done like 10% of your project, so you're really behind schedule, for example. And also progress reports are very useful for clients, because not only that you would need to tell them how much progress you've done, but sometimes in big projects, you would have to invoice, do partial invoices. For example, every month you would have to send an invoice of the progress that you've done. So, or it can be monthly or it can be bi-weekly. It depends on the size of the project. So you have to tell your client how much progress have you done, and to invoice for that part of the project. So this is something very useful for those type of reports, let's say. So let's talk about marketing strategy. And for that, we are going to talk about the 4 P's in marketing. We've already talked about our product. We talked about the features, but to summarize, this is our value proposition. So Middelo is for professionals who require to measure large vertical surfaces in their jobs with a good level of precision, to calculate time, materials, and costs. That's what we talked about in the previous slide. Our product is an app that allows them to calculate dimensions, area, it could be rectangular, non-rectangular, cracks, and they can also generate photos and reports. That provides an easy, fast, and accurate and economical, that is very important, economical way to perform these measurements. You can reuse the information that you save and generate new measures. Unlike conventional measurement methods that require a lot of time, work, and are risky. And here we're going to make a parenthesis, is that conventional methods today can include tape measures, lasers. Yeah. But the most common method is to hang people with ropes from the roofs. Actually, that's pretty much the only way they can have to measure many things, and for example, to measure cracks. That is very risky. That takes a lot of time and a lot of resources. You would have to hire maybe a company that's responsible for the security, for the ropes. So that takes a lot of time and resources of people to perform just the quoting, not even the work. And obviously it's less precise because you have human errors. If you have people hanging from the rope and it's all clinging, so you can make mistakes measuring. Our product is the best alternative for professionals, also for homeowners, but we believe professionals are like a big target here, facilitating the quotation, the operating, and the monitoring process that we just mentioned before about the audit control and the progress reports.
I just want to point out that this, here you said that is for professional, but actually we want to give all professional all the functionality that they require for their jobs, but the app is so easy to use that it could be used for anyone. Well, anyone doesn't need, I don't know, the PDF reports or the cracks measurement.
Right.
That the professional will do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So let's talk about our second P, the price. So our app is a premium app. That means is that you can download it for free, but you can purchase packages inside the app. So the free version includes 2 meters, or the equivalent in square feet. You can save up to five files in the library for free. You can have unlimited photos, but you cannot have reports, okay? So we established 2 set of packages. One is subscriptions and one is tokens. So subscriptions, when you purchase a subscription, you can measure any size, not only just the 2 meters, you can measure unlimited dimensions, area, etc. You can save all the files that you want in the library. So the library is also unlimited, and you can start generating reports. We have 3 options here. You can purchase a subscription for 1 week, for a month, or for a year. And tokens. Tokens are really, we really thought about tokens when we thought about one-timers, occasional users, homeowners, or maybe a person that just needs to develop a couple of projects or a project. So with tokens, you can purchase up to 3 tokens or 250 tokens. And with each token, you can unlock a project. So you can have unlimited measures in one project. You can save that file in the library forever, and you can generate reports. As you can see here, we have a lot of options. We have prices starting from $1, that is very affordable, up to $100. Okay, so let's move on to promotion. Today, we're only doing online promotions and that are free and organic. So we use social media. We have Instagram, we have Facebook and LinkedIn, and we also have our website. Why online? Because we're a multinational worldwide company, so we need obviously to get to the most number of people, so this is why we do it online. And the place. So the channel that we're using today is only the Apple Store. We don't have Middelo for Android. We're planning to work on that for the first semester of next year. Because, well, there are a lot of hardware things involved in Middelo that this is why it has been like a little bit more difficult on Android. So that's why we started in Apple. So this is why we're only in Apple Store for now. The location, well, we have it worldwide. In any country, you can find Middelo. You would need just a device. You would need an iPhone or an iPad. And that has to have a operating system of iOS 10 or higher. And the languages so far are English and Spanish. We're planning to launch Middelo in other languages, but that's going to be for next year. Before moving on to the next topic on the agenda, which is the challenge, we want to talk about something that's very important regarding marketing in apps. This chart that we brought here is talk about how our apps discovered, the methods that people use to discover apps. There are 2 lines here, one in a dark green and one in a light green. Please just notice the one on the dark green, which is iOS, that is our case. And the first line says that the general browsing in app stores, 63%. What does this mean? Is that 63% of the apps are discovered through app stores. Searches, not only the Apple Store, but also the Android Store. This is very important for us, but because in conventional companies, you would say, okay, just go to Google. Google is not a good method for us in apps. You can see Google, it's 16%. And 14%, yes, almost at the bottom, it says general browsing on the internet, on other websites, and searching via internet search engines, which is the best example is Google. That represents 14% for apps. Want to say something?
Yes, let me point out that if you see here, the numbers will
add more than 100%.
Yes. So the survey was made with people to make us multiple choices. So the 63% of the people select general browsing, but they can choose another one. But that's the main idea, just to clarify that.
Okay. Yeah, so the second option would be speaking with friends or family. So they tell you, okay, have you tried this app? Yes, try it. Download on the app. So that's the second way that we could get to be known by people. And well, so forth. But what we wanted to notice here is the importance of the App Store for us. That's number one priority, and it's 63% of the apps are discovered in that way. We want to introduce here a concept. We don't know if you know it, but we just wanted to mention it. Is a concept that it's called SAO in marketing of apps. That stands for App Store Optimization. So as we told you before, the App Store is crucial for us. So there's something that's called App Store Optimization. What does this mean? Really, SAO is the same as SEO, which I believe you know is search engine optimization that you use for websites, but it's only for mobile apps. What is the objective? To improve the visibility of an app in the Apple Store. That's it. What is the process? So the optimization process ranks the apps via keywords, that's very important, keywords, in the store and pushes the app into the top charts. If the app is on the top of the chart, it is more likely that you will receive more downloads. And if you have more downloads, you will probably get more revenue. The key here is that to make the app as visible as possible to your potential users, to find the correct words that those users are searching that relate to their app. Obviously, it has to look inviting, but this is very key to use the correct words. I'm going to tell you a scary number that is written there is that 83% of the iOS apps are invisible. There are thousands, hundreds, and millions of apps in the stores. To be visible, it's very difficult. You can see that it's 80% of the apps are invisible. So this is a big challenge for us.
So when you say invisible, do you mean they're not even searchable, or people just never look at them because they're so far down the list?
Exactly. So let me show you the next slide. So if you look, for example, we just did an example there. We just type measure buildings, okay? You can find probably thousands of apps that could use the words measure buildings. So depending on the keywords that you use, you'll be higher in the rank. For example, Middelo is appearing on the first rank of the chart in this case because we are using buildings and measure, those two keywords in our title, and that give us more points. But for example, if you search for measure sightings, we're gonna appear in 100 position and nobody's gonna download our app, because when you do a search, you're gonna download the first 3 probably. You're not gonna try and download all of the apps. So this is why it's very important to be in a higher ranking. So with 100 apps, what they say about 83% are invisible is that you are down in the chart and nobody's gonna see you or even download.
And how do they determine the order in which the apps appear? Like which ones go first? Is it more popular or higher ratings or?
Reviews.
So there are a couple of elements. First of all, for example, the name. So this has 6 elements. So the SAO has 6 elements. So the first one is the name. The name is just 30 characters that you can put on the store. And if you have the keywords in your name, you're gonna have 10% more chances to be put on a higher ranking. Also the number of downloads. So if your app has more downloads, it's gonna be put in a higher ranking.
Reviews.
Also the reviews. So there are a lot of ingredients that they will be adding apps, so your app will be increasing or decreasing, sorry, the position on that rank. So the second element is keywords. This is very important. You have a maximum of 100 characters to put keywords that could give you about 10 words. So you would have to choose correctly your keywords that can determine what the really app does, and that are the keywords that really the people are looking for. Because you can have a very fancy keyword, but nobody types it, okay? So the logo, well, that's very normal for you in marketing. The logo has to be appealing and it has to include the quality and the purpose. That's the same. The category, you can choose two categories, one main category in the app store and a secondary category. The screenshots, you can upload 3 videos and 10 screenshots to the store, but only the first 2 are visible. So in 2 slides, you have to tell your people what you do and you have to convince them. So it's really hard. And localization, this is really where we want to focus and why we wanted to bring this to your attention. Localization. Localization doesn't mean just to translate the app. You can take a dictionary or hire a person and you can translate the app. This is more than translation. Localization is very critical because you have to use the correct wording that people in your market are using. And we're going to give you an example. For example, in the US, we noticed that facade is not a very popular word within this market. They use the word siding. You can talk about facades and they'll understand you, but they're not going to search for facades. So if you type, for example, siding, you're not going to find us because we realized of that word lately. So this is why localization is so important. And we wanted to bring this into attention because part of the challenge that we set up it's really to work on this, like to find the correct wording that our clients are using, because this is not a general app for like everybody that we have to maybe use a standard language, even though you all speak English, but you don't use the same words. So it's very specific to our market and we need to understand how these people talk. Okay, so moving on to the challenge. So we've divided the challenge in 3 topics that it's written in the documentation that I guess you already received. The first one is competition analysis. So we want to learn who are our competitors. What we found so far is that our biggest competitors are really traditional, conventional measuring methods. So the laser, the tape measure. We haven't found really a direct competitors in the apps world. We found 2 that it's written in the documentation, but they're not exactly what Middelo does. They don't do exactly what Middelo does. One is Hover, which is very popular in the US, but you cannot even find it in other countries. And Hover is specialized only on houses. So that's just to give you an idea, but it would be really helpful if you could find real competitors and tell us, okay, what are they doing better than us and what is their pricing? Are we pricing too high, too low, etc. The next step is market analysis. So we wanted to identify new promising marketings. Maybe we're not seeing something. We're just focused on architects and there's a big market in, I don't know, military or whatever, and we're not seeing it. Market analysis.
So importantly on this one, when you say market, in this case, it doesn't necessarily mean a new country. It may also mean sort of market as a consumer group. So like you said,
exactly, like consumer groups or what we call jobs or a different country. Actually, we have all the countries, the apps available in all countries, but yes, it's more like the type of jobs that can be done with Middelo.
Market segment maybe, yeah.
Market segment, exactly. And obviously review the local consumer language, which we said before, it's very important for us to understand how people really talk in their country and in their market. And product market fee is just, okay, you just told us that there's a new job that can be addressed with Middelo. We would need to know what features or additional designs we would need to develop to address that new market that you've proposed. I'm seeing some hands. Let me just finish this. I'm almost done and we'll open the sessions for questions. And the last section will be marketing. We just want to validate our pricing strategy. As you saw in our history, we've changed a lot. We started measuring by charging by square meters, then we move on to capacity, then we move on to subscriptions. So if you can tell us, okay, no, people are not buying because they don't like tokens, they don't understand what are tokens, so everything is welcome. Promotion channels, we would like to identify new promotion channels that in which we could reach our clients. But for this, we want to make parentheses. It has to be organic and it has to be free for now. So if you want to suggest, like, for example, okay, do an ad in TV, which is very expensive, we would have to leave that in the parking lot for now. because we need to explore our company first rather than to invest more. So we're really seeking for free promotional channels for now. And regarding the marketing strategy, really, what is the best way to convince the customers? We're pretty sure that our product is very mature now. It has a lot of value. We've invested a lot in technology, but probably we're not convincing the customers why is this important. Why do they keep taking the tape measure too? Why do they keep taking the ropes? Why aren't they switching to our app? Probably an answer will be that, okay, they don't have an Apple device. And we know we have that challenge and we're going to work on that for next year, but we just want to know how is the best way to convince our customers. Also, well, the marketing message and slogan. And the last point is a little bit about what we said about the wording. Identify if the wording that we're using in the app, in our marketing strategy, should be modified to really reach our clients, okay? This is not like, okay, just give me the words in your language. We don't want like to hire you as translator. We just want to do a field work, go to the architects, talk with them and see how they really talk. Want to say something? No. So let's open the session for questions. We have about 15 minutes. I don't know, Vas, how can we do this? Just unmute your phones.
Just go through the questions. Julia, do you want to go through the questions that you see?
Sure, I can help.
I have a few questions that came by email.
Sure, I can help with the Q&A session. The first question was, how accurate is the measurement? And also the saludos from the Bogota. How accurate is the measurement? Is there any maybe a bit of mistake in the measurement?
Yeah, and the second question about Bogota?
Oh no, the person just added.
Just added the salute from the Bogota for you.
Oh, okay. We're from Bogota as well. Okay. So,
well, actually, we were working on the algorithms to have less than 1% of accuracy, and we have reached that. Right now, the errors can be made by the user, not by the algorithm. So it's very, very precise. I have to, we made some tests with lasers and with Middelo. And I think maybe we can give a better accuracy than a laser. Not because the laser is not accuracy, because it's because you have to point out, for example, in a 40 meters building siding, the point of the laser is very small, and it's difficult to point out exactly with a certain accuracy. So with Middelo, you can zoom in and you can point exactly in the point. So it's very, very accurate compared with actual methods of measuring.
And actually with the laser, if you don't have a steady hand, sometimes it's going to be difficult and you're just going to point in different areas. So it's really accurate. What is our challenge, to complement a little bit the answer? Our challenge is the perspective. Because if you don't set up the perspective correctly, you're not going to get accurate measures. It's not a problem of the app, it's a problem of the user. Obviously, our jobs is to make the users to do it. So we've done tutorials with inside the app. We have a demo that is a real project where you can practice. So we've done a lot of effort there, but yes, that is our challenge, because if they just want to do it so quickly and just put next and they don't do an accurate perspective, it's not going to be accurate, but the app is very precise.
The next question is about what customers say about your app. Do you have some feedback, some valuable feedbacks, and how this feedbacks appears in your app? Maybe not only in an app store, but in a Facebook, in a YouTube. Maybe you have some tutorials from your customers, no?
Okay. So what customers says is that all the job that we've done on the field, they say they love it, they want it, they need it. But unfortunately, we are not having the downloads that we want or the revenue.
Traction, yeah.
The traction for now. We've been like we've put so much focus on the product and we've done not much marketing. So they say they love it, but we don't have much downloads. regarding the reviews, we don't have reviews for now on the Apple Store. To get a review is so difficult. It's one of the most difficult things because people give you a review when they don't hate, they hate the product or they have a bad experience. But when they love it, they don't give you a review. And that happens in any market or any company. So we don't have reviews on the Apple Store for now. That's something that we need to improve, or let's say in social medias. But we've had a lot of customers, for example, in Instagram, we've had a couple of customers saying, requesting the app, and they say, okay, I really need this app. When are you going to create it in Android? So we've had clients asking for the app. Did I answer all the questions?
Yep. Yep.
We cannot hear you, Julia.
Sorry. The next question is following this. If Android is not there, do you have the web version?
Do you have the what?
So it's not available in the Android version, right? It's only Mac OS or whatever, the Apple, right?
Oh, okay. No,
But
yeah,
do you have like a web version that it can be used?
No, we only have it for
No.
iPhone and iPad, not for desktops. And the reason why, well, there's a lot of technical complexity. The reason is that you have to go to the site and take a photo, so you will have to do it with a mobile device. We dream to have it on desktop, but we don't have a date for now. That you can take the picture on your phone and then you can, with the same account, download on the desktop or your laptop. But it's not for now.
Also, students are asking, most brands don't focus on their YouTube channel, and how are you deal with it?
Oh yeah, I forgot to put YouTube. We do have videos on YouTube, but it's more tutorial videos. We have on all the functionalities. Yes, we do have a channel for YouTube, but we do need to focus a lot there. We have a big opportunity there to work with YouTube, to write the words correctly, because we're not having traction in YouTube.
Where do most of your customers come from?
Where is this country or?
Country, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, well, the statistics shows us the majority is in the United States, then Spain and Mexico. But we have customers in Portugal, we have customers on Bolivia, we have customers on Australia, yes.
Bhutan.
Julia, while you're selecting the next question, because we have only like 3 minutes left, we have another webinar. I wanted to ask one question more related to business rather than the product. So it's been a long journey for you. You've gone through 9 iterations of the app. It's been several years. What was the biggest challenge? I mean, starting a business like that, if one of the students wanted to start a similar business tomorrow, what advice would you give to them? What was your sort of, lessons or issues that you had to deal with?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's we focus on a big technical challenge. This is not easy, and we have to learn a lot of
Technical things.
yeah, technical things. So the challenge right now have been technical, basically, because we really want an app that could be differentiate from the other ones and cannot be copied so easily. So
this is good and bad. Okay, so if you want to really differentiate in the market, you have to do something unique, something extraordinary. But sometimes if you want to be the NASA or create an airplane, it's going to take a long time. So maybe that was a problem, that we wanted to do something very spectacular or very difficult to do, and it took us so many years. Another thing is probably money, in the sense that we didn't invest like a lot of money in the development, but obviously 5 years without a big revenue is a challenge for anyone. We've been able to do this because I have another job. I work part-time in Middelo and I work part-time in real estate. So that gave us the opportunity like to spend a lot of time in the development. But if we were both in this, I mean, you need to have revenue to buy things. So that's a challenge, but not a challenge in the things that we had to invest, but the income that you don't have, because we can do free promotions. And this is a message that we want to give you probably, is that sometimes when you hire a marketing company, the first thing is that they tell you is that you need to have a lot of money to do promotion and marketing. That's not true. Not in our world. You can do free things. There is a lot of resources. You can study program online for free. You can promote for free your app. So don't be like this. If I don't have a lot of money and I don't have a big account, I cannot do a startup. Yes, you can do it, but you have to take into consideration that time that you're not going to be receiving an income.
If I may, one more question. In the very beginning, you said something that caught my attention. You talked about that sabbatical year. So not many people do that. So how exactly did it work? I mean, like, that's a very unusual and a cool idea. So how did it work?
Well, it was a fantastic idea. That was like the best year of our lives. We were able to do it because, well, we have an apartment of our own. So we rented an apartment and we live out of that, of their rent. So you have to have like a little bit of savings or a little bit of capital to put that to produce you money. It was scary at the beginning because obviously it's not easy to quit two wonderful jobs and a multinational and stable and fantastic company. We had great incomes, we had great jobs. It's very scary, but we thought it was the time to do it. We don't have kids, so it's just the two of us, so we don't have like major responsibilities. So it was easy on that way, but it's always scary. But we said, if we don't do it now, then if we have kids or if we have major responsibilities, we're not going to do it ever. And that's like the experiences that you're going to get for life. So
you basically quit your job, rented out your apartment, and then traveled around the world. That's it?
Yeah, we traveled around the world. Well, it was not very expensive.
Well, actually, I want to point out, Bas, that Middelo is part of that vision. We have a vision of life. And Middelo is a big part of our vision of life because we want to work in any place in the world.
Right.
We don't want to have bosses, and we want to have a big revenue stream for us. And this is the way that we found to do that.
Right, right. Yeah, nobody likes the 8-to-5 job with a nasty boss that always yells at you, right? Yeah.
Bas, can I take a couple of minutes just to...
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Luis.
Thank you, and thank you, Julia, for facilitating this, and thank you, Lisandra and Natalia, also for, I think it was a great presentation. My only comment, because I've been, I've known about Middelo for several years, and I know they've been growing and they're very strong on the technical part, but of course now they're getting into market and commercializing this sort of product, which is sometimes difficult to kind of explain and make sure that everyone understands, can be a challenge. But especially when you're going international. So some of the things that we mentioned throughout the webinar, like maybe returns, as Varas was saying, you know, you might take some of that product back here in the States, but maybe other countries don't take it back once you buy it. Or the B2B concept, I think that's your focus in general, but I don't know if the whole construction process or selling process is the same around the world. So I just wanted to point that out for my students. I've been teaching international marketing for several years now, and I use X-Culture, one of the professors of X-Culture for also several years. So that's something that I usually tell them, think about, I mean, try to think about outside the box, not necessarily what you see in your countries is what's the standard everywhere.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
thank you.
Exactly. Yep.
And thank you for the nomination. I hope you really work with us, and I hope you get to, this could be also your opportunity if you're planning to do a company, an app. So they could be your opportunity to learn about this type of market. So hope you enjoy it.
In my case, this is another world. I have a master on an MBA, and I didn't see things like ASO, like a product that you have to position in all the world. Is a big challenge, and is not not in the curriculum that I study. So we have a lot to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been very informative and educational. For the students, we have another meeting now with Abovo, a Ghanaian chocolate company. So you have a link, a different link for that one. So thank you so much, Middelo. And yeah, I guess we will be in touch then by email in the coming weeks.
Okay. Thank you so much. And just to wrap up, so for any of you who are interested in working with our company, we can send the public link so you can download the beta demo app so you can work on a new version, because we don't want you to lose time working on a version that's going to be shut down in a month. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.